All right, so we have this question here. We have our labor demand function, okay, which is 1020 minus 2W. Okay, remember this labor demand function is just showing the relationship between the wage rate and the quantity of labor demanded. All right, remember there's an inverse relationship between the wage rate and the quantity of labor demanded. A higher wage rate, less workers demanded. Remember, who demands labor? It's firms. Firms are who demand labor, and who supplies labor? It is the workers. Okay. Yes. The this labor supply function is showing the relationship between the quantity of labor supplied and the wage rate. This plus sign is telling us there's a positive relationship between the wage rate and the quantity of labor supplied. Okay, as a worker, if you see wage, a job is hiring, a job that is hiring is offering a good wage, you want to go and work there. Okay, so and many people want to go work there, so the quantity of labor supplied would increase. Right? If a job is offering a lower wage rate, then few people would want to go and work there. So the quantity of labor supplied is going to drop. Right. So here we've been asked to calculate the equilibrium wage rate and the equilibrium quantity of labor. So just like in microeconomics, when you're calculating equilibrium price and quantity, it's the same thing. Okay. First thing you need to do is you need to equate quantity demanded to quantity supplied. Okay. Or equate the labor demand function with the labor supply function. Okay. So you're going to say 1020 here minus 2W equals negative 30 plus 8W. Okay, so here you're going to group like terms together, okay, because one first find the wage rate. Okay, so this negative 2W is going to cross over the equal sign, and this is going to cross over here. It's going to become positive, and this negative 30 here going to cross over the equal sign and become positive here. Okay, so here we're going to have a plus 30 here. We're going to say 1020 plus 30 equals 8W plus 2W. So 1020 plus 30, you get 1050. 8W plus 2W, you get 10W. So I'll find the value of W, which is the wage rate. All right, so the wage rate, so 1050 divided by 10 gives you 105. Okay, so this is the wage rate in this market here. All right, the equilibrium wage rate. The equilibrium wage rate just says this is what people are being paid, basically. Any questions before we find now the equilibrium quantity? All right, so you can substitute this W equals 105 into any of the functions. You'll get the same answer. You can substitute it into the demand function, or you can substitute it into the supply function. Okay, so I'll work with the supply function. Okay, it looks easier to work with. So our supply function QS equals negative 30 plus 8W. So we're going to replace W with 105. Right, so we're going to have here -30 plus 8, substitute W with 105. So we're going to have -30 plus 105 times 8, 840. Okay. So -30 plus 840, 810. Okay, so this is how many workers are in that market. All right, so combining this together, labor demand here, labor supply. In this market, people are getting paid 105, we'll say, dollars. Since here in Zambia, to be getting paid 105 kwacha, that would be a low wage. Okay, and here 810 workers. Okay, yes. Any questions before we go to the next part where government puts in the minimum wage? Okay, so if a minimum wage is enacted, okay, what is the effect of a minimum wage of $120? Okay, so minimum wage, if you remember in microeconomics, price floors. Okay, the minimum price that must be charged for a product. Also here now in labor economics, the minimum wage also acts like a price floor because the minimum wage is saying this is the minimum that you must pay your workers. Okay, you can't go below it, you can only go above it. So it's a price floor. So a price floor is always above equilibrium. Always remember that. Okay, it's always above equilibrium. Okay, here 120. Okay, they're saying now this is the number of workers. I mean, this is how much the workers have to be paid. Now, we're going to see what's going to happen when this price floor is acted in this labor market here. All right. Now, as you can see, this price floor, okay, meaning you can only go above, you can't go below. Okay, it touches the demand curve, the labor demand curve, and it also touches the labor supply curve. So we're going to see now how many workers are firms going to need at this new wage. So first we go back to our demand function. QD equals 120, 1020 minus 2W. Okay. So the wage of 120 has been placed. So I'm going to say 1020. So we substitute W with 120. Okay, so I'm going to say 1020. 2 times 120, that is 240. Okay, so 1020 minus 240, that's 708. Okay, this is the number of workers that are needed, demanded 780 workers. Okay, Initially, when it was 105, the number of workers demanded was 810. Now it has dropped to 710 workers. Okay, because remember, for firms, if this wage rate increases, it becomes more expensive. So it means they need less workers. So from the firm side, the number of workers demanded drops because it's now expensive. Then from the workers side, QS equals negative 30 plus 80 W. Yes, is that a question? 30 plus 80 W is a negative 30 plus. Is that a question? Is that a question? If not, kindly mute your mic so that I'm audible to the. So here we have negative 30 plus 80 times 120. That's 1,000. I mean 9,600. Oh, not 8. It's 8. Sorry, sorry. So 960. Negative 30 plus 960. 930 workers. Okay. The number of workers who want to work are now 930. Initially, when the wage rate was 105, 810 workers were willing to offer their services. Now the wage rate has increased. Now it's 930 workers here. So, what we can say, colleagues, here is quantity, the labor supply exceeds labor demand. Okay, QS is greater than QD. Okay, so what happens is we have a surplus in this labor market. There are more workers willing to work than there are firms willing to hire. Okay, the minimum wage increases the labor cost for the firms, so the firms demand less workers. But from the worker side, this minimum wage is an increment from what they were originally getting 105. It's an increment. So people saying this increment, they are willing to work. All right. So that is the effect of a minimum wage. You have a surplus in the labor market where the labor supply exceeds the labor demand. Any questions?